think back. What was the first video game that you ever loved? Not necessarily the first you ever played, but the first you were ever able to sit down with and really put quality time into. With a medium as directly interactive as video games are, the first game you love tends to vitally contribute to your DNA as a gamer. And for me, that's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sure, Donkey Kong Country brings back scores of nostalgic memories, but it didn't teach me what a video game should be. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 might be the only piece of fiction that's ever brought a tear to my eye, but I never spent hours outside with my friends reenacting those stories. Team Fortress 2 is almost certainly the game that I've played more than any other in the past decade. But as awesome as those characters are, they didn't influence me so deeply that they changed the way I speak. Yeah, little Josh here was on course to have a bit more of a southern accent.
It's a lollipop!
Until...
Oh, they're back before you know I'm even gone.
Tell me my dialect wasn't influenced at least a bit by Jaleel White, Chrome Dome. Really, the point I'm getting at is that if I'm doing a Sonic retrospective, it's gonna be even more difficult than usual to maintain an objective outlook, especially with the classics. I know these games have flaws, but there are elements of their mechanics that are so set for me, that I'm so used to, that I've been with for so long, I don't even think about them. I'll do my best to critique them fairly, but I make no promises. Let's get started. May 25th, 1994, my 6th birthday, and I remember it well. I remember my parents pulling one last surprise present out of the laundry room. I remember pulling that wrapping paper off to reveal the Sega Genesis with Sonic 2 packed in. And very shortly after, I remember getting absolutely and completely lost in Emerald Hill Zone. I got lost. I was 6. It was one of the first times I'd ever played a game. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know the signpost was in that direction. I'm gonna tell you what the first video game I ever loved had to teach me about gaming. Number 1! When you hit start on Sonic 2, the game doesn't throw you into some nonsense cutscene about Tails meeting Sonic, or jumping around on buildings, or being an escaped fugitive. It's simple. Here's where you are, and go. I didn't care that I was lost in Emerald Hill Zone, or that I didn't know how to spin dash, or that I didn't know what a spin dash was, or that I had no idea what this weird blue bubble around Sonic was, because I was having fun. That was the very first thing I learned about gaming. They can be about a story or a message or art or whatever, but before they can be about anything, there must be gameplay, and if that doesn't hold up, no matter how good the rest might be, there is simply no fun to be had. Number 2! But what is fun? How do you define fun? Eventually, I grew bored randomly exploring Emerald Hill Zone, but sooner or later, I happened upon the signpost, and when I crossed it, Sonic got through Act 1. So that's what this is all about! Sonic starts over here, it's my job to get him over here. That first time, it took me over 5 minutes to do it, but I can be faster, I can be better, I can sharpen my skill. And that is the second lesson Sonic 2 taught me about video games. How do you have more fun? You get better at the game. Now this is important because it's something that a lot of people to this day misunderstand when it comes to Sonic, and it's because, especially when you compare it to other games of the era, it's actually pretty forgiving. I mean, let's compare it to Mario. When you take a hit in a Mario game, there's gonna be ramifications. That awesome raccoon tail that let you fly, gone. That projectile weapon that was so very useful, gone. The game actually got harder when you got hit, and it's not at all unusual to be in a state where one little mistake will kill you. How well you're doing now can be directly related to how well you were doing 30 seconds ago. Sonic wasn't like that. As long as you could hold on to at least one ring, and those things are everywhere, the enemies couldn't kill you. There were no other consequences for getting hit. Sonic didn't become slower, his jump wasn't any less powerful, he stayed the same. Because of that, it was quite possible to just blindly push ahead, taking hits here and there. Right up until... Number 3! Okay, so we're in Emerald Hill Act 2. We're gonna hold to the right... Freaking coconuts! No, it's okay, we can make it. And what is that? What is Robotnik doing? He keeps wrecking me! I'm out of rings and my heartbeat's going crazy and I'm so nervous and damn it! I've heard it argued that the bosses in the early Sonic games were not well suited to the gameplay. Sonic, it said, is a game about going fast. So why do the bosses lock you down to this small space where you can't utilize that speed? I might have gotten stuck on this first boss, but I'd never played a game before. Much more egregious for the final bosses, where you don't get any rings at all. So why is there such a divide between my fun, fast roller coaster ride and these frustrating, slow, and very deadly bosses? There isn't. There is no divide. It's just that the bosses are the one thing that you can't just struggle through. With Sonic, instead of losing power-ups or lives, the price for a mistake was losing all that speed. And losing speed is not fun. It's hard and frustrating, and you'd struggle and barely make it to a boss, lose all your lives and have to start the whole thing over again! Just getting by was not a fun way to play the game. It's not so direct about forcing you to get better, but it also doesn't treat you like an idiot. Now, these are just my own experiences, but for me, it's the difference between high school, where roughly 90% of what you do is just monotonous busy work, versus college, where you have a responsibility. You can decide to work hard and improve yourself, or you can just keep failing. Just like with college, some people don't even realize the choice is available. But at 6 years old, I saw that choice. Because when I got owned by Drill Eggman, I had to learn at least a little timing before I could move on. And that's what the bosses are all about, mastering skillful movement and timing. You have to move correctly, and it all culminates in a battle where you have no rings, no shields, no protection. All you're left with at the end are the skills that you've learned to this point. If you've mastered that, then all of a sudden Mystic Cave becomes just as fast and breezy as Emerald Hill. But because you've earned it, it's way, way more fun. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is not a game about going fast. It's a game about skill mastery. Going fast is just the reward that you get for doing so. Sonic might have gotten through Act 1, but that statement makes no judgment on how well you did. This is not a game where the point is necessarily to get through it, because you can always get better. And the fact that I can always get better is why 20 years after getting it for my birthday, I can still fire it up and discover new things, make mistakes, and have a blast playing it. You know, games like Metroid Prime get so much praise for starting you off with all the powers and upgrades, just to show you how awesome you will be. Not taking anything away from Metroid Prime, but Sonic does the same freaking thing. Emerald Hill is fast and easy, and there's springs in plain sight that rocket you forward. It's like the game is saying, isn't all this speed exciting? Well, let me tell you something, it won't be easy. It won't always be fun, but you can make this happen. You can become this awesome. If you try, you can do anything. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a perfect video game. Okay, fine, maybe it isn't. Here are some problems with Sonic 2. First, it has the most linear level design of the classic series. The zones come across significantly shorter than Sonic 1's, and they don't tend to lend themselves nearly as well to exploration. Tails was an awesome addition, and I'm glad 2-player mode's there, but it's absolutely bizarre that they would introduce a playable character, show him to be capable of flight, and then make it so you can't fly with him. Metropolis Zone is one of my least favorite zones in the classic series. It just goes on and on forever, and while at one time it was frustrating, now it's more frustratingly boring. The level design is like an Escher painting. These screw bolts move too slowly and are placed too frequently. I mean, at least the music is cool, but even that's grating on me after 3 straight acts of it. Sky Chase was fun the first 100 or so times I played it, but it really is just an interactive cutscene. It breaks with the way the rest of the game is designed. No matter how good you are at it, there's no way to get it over with faster. And that's probably why when I finish Oil Ocean, I usually reset the game, hit 1965-09-17, and use the level select to skip Metropolis and Sky Chase. And finally, the special stages. Look, this was probably a neat trick in 1992. The Genesis is not natively capable of sprite scaling, but the special stages still tend to be a bit of a jerky mess. I mean, Supersonic is a great reward, he's really fun to play as, but the special stages aren't anywhere near as fun as the rest of the game, and especially with no save system, the incentive for bothering with them just isn't there. And that's all the criticism I can think of. To this day, subconsciously or otherwise, I think I judge every game I play by comparing it to this one. Now that was a lot more literal when I was 6 years old and I had no frame of reference to compare it to. I mean, Mario was cool, but why doesn't he have a debug mode? Donkey Kong Country is fun, but wouldn't it make a lot more sense if Diddy sometimes disappeared off screen and then flew back with his tails? What the hell is this and what am I supposed to be doing? I am, of course, a lot more well-rounded now. I've played, beaten, and enjoyed many games, and not all of them have to follow this pattern. I'm not saying opening cutscenes are inherently bad, or that anything that accentuates story over gameplay isn't worth bothering with. Video games are a wonderfully diverse medium, and there's plenty of room in the industry for all sorts of different approaches. But for the most part, for the games I really love, that core still remains. That's why this is the most important game I ever played. The things that I took away from it cemented why I love the medium. Video games are about gameplay, first and foremost. Thus, you can choose to become more skillful. Your skill will be rewarded. That's why I'm a gamer. That's why I'm a geek. That's why I'm up at 6:30 in the morning, writing this script, and I'll be up night after night working on this video, and I'll do it again and again. I will keep pursuing this dream, because I believe that my work and my skill will be rewarded. But without Sonic 2, there would be no Geek Critique. Because without Sonic the Hedgehog, I never could have become the person I am. Like I said, these are just my own experiences. Maybe you took something completely different away from Sonic games. I mean, a lot of people like them for some very different reasons. But we'll take a look at that perspective next time. Sonic 2 was the first video game I ever owned, but there is so much more to cover. The Sonic retrospective will roll on, so make sure to subscribe to TTC, and just as importantly, share this video anywhere Sonic fans may roam. I'm still just under 700 subscribers, but my goal is to get to 10,000 by the end of the week. Check out my other videos, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and you keep geeking, I'll keep critiquing. Gotta speed, Geed! Thanks for watching.